It's time for a deep dive on University of Portland basketball. The inside story on the Pilots. This is Portland Pilots basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau. Tonight's show is brought to you on 910 ESPN Portland by employee-owned Bi-Mart, by your local Les Schwab Tire Center, the Oregon College Savings Plan, by Buffalo Wild Wings, U.S. Bank, by Safeway, and by Play Smart Health Screenings from Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. Now, here's your host, Jason Bro.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jason Bro, Associate Athletic Director for Public Relations here on the Bluff at the University of Portland, and we're excited to be in the Pilot House for the first Coaches Show of this year on location. Coach Reveneau in the house and welcoming everybody here, so we're excited to be here. We'll hopefully do this throughout various Mondays throughout the basketball season and have a lot of fun guests from around campus, including players, coaches, and even some fans. But before we get to the basketball portion of this broadcast, there's something we need to pass along. Tough day for University of Portland athletics. We received word earlier today that longtime voice of the Pilots, host of this show, Bill Johnson, had a heart attack and passed away. This is very difficult news. Many of us have grown to know Bill over the years as a member of the Pilot Athletics family. He's got an illustrious career that spanned nearly 6 decades in the Portland market, ranging from calling games for the Portland Trailblazers in the mid-'70s, Oregon Ducks football and basketball, Portland State football, recently Linfield football, as well as the Pilots. He was a voice of Portland Pilots in 3 stints for 23 years. He called the 1978 season that featured Hall of Famers Darwin Cook and Rick Ravio. He called the 95-96 Pilot games where they made the NCAA tournament and went and played Villanova in the NCAA tournament against Kerry Kittles and Tim Thomas. And he has called the last 6 seasons of Pilot basketball with Coach Reveneau. And, Coach, bringing you into the fold here, I know it was kind of surprising news. It was very difficult. Bill called our game last Tuesday. He called Linfield football on Saturday, and then we got the news this morning.
Yeah, no, it was really tough news, and it was hard. And, I had to tell the guys after they got their lift in, and it was tough. And what I remember fondly about Bill is how much he enjoyed being around the players, how much he supported our players. He got to know the families. He loved interviewing them. He loved he'd come in and tell me in our pregame interview, I talked to Jason Todd today, or I talked to Thomas Vandermars, or I talked to Robin Smelders, or I talked to whoever it might have been that day, Kevin Bailey, Corey Tilke, all the guys. He loved all of them, and he loved that they were student athletes. Any chance he could get to talk about them being student athletes, and he always loved to say student first. I can hear him now saying student first, and how proud he was of them, and how his involvement. We enjoyed having him as the voice of our basketball team. And what I liked about him also, and it was funny because sometimes I try to explain some basketball to him, and he'd have his opinions, and it would be fun. And he wanted to win too, and he and I got along on that very well. He wanted to win, and I want to win, and we want to do well, but we want to do things the right way. So we saw eye to eye on that stuff, and whether it was the holidays we spent together, the team travel, whatever it might have been, asking about my family, very genuine man, hosted the team for a dinner a couple times, and just really just a genuine, nice man that I think was quality person to have around our program. I will miss him, and traveling with him, as you know well, and we spend a lot of time. And he's just someone that cared about us and the program, and did his best to represent us. He had lots of ideas for getting UP out in the community, wanted to support us. He was always brainstorming on things we can do to let people know about all the great stuff going on the Bluff. And this radio show, it's ironic that we're doing it here from the Pilot House tonight, and he's not here to see it. It's just really sad for me and for everyone. You talk to the people, you say 23 years up here on the Bluff doing his gig, and he's a pro, and he made it, but he was a really good person. They made a lot of connection with a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that's a key takeaway. He was a very good, accomplished broadcaster. But, one of the things that I'll remember and having the opportunity to work and travel with him over these number of years is he really did truly care about the people. The interviews were always intriguing, and I always thought the best part were when he'd sit down with a kid, and it was very little basketball related. It was about, what are you doing in school? How's your family doing? What's your background? And I think that translated really well to the kids, and so many former players, whether I can think of Nemanja Mitrovic when he comes in town, what's Bill's number? I want to get in touch and have lunch with him. Ryan Nicholas, Thomas Vandermars, as you say, the lasting impact that Bill Johnson had with the University of Portland basketball program, and in here on the Bluff, extending to staff members, Rich Bennett, Marshall Cho, you get a text from him, and just people that have been around him and traveled with him. He had a very big impact, not just on the University of Portland from a basketball perspective and a broadcasting perspective, but he really created good relationships with people that lasted. And, sometimes you get caught up in the wins and losses and everything, but good people matter, and Bill was definitely a good person.
Yeah, no, I just words are hard, and you reminded the guys, the last conversation I had with him, he for a variety of reasons, we got into a conversation about appreciating your blessings, and I talked to the guys about that today, and it's just, we are so blessed here on the Bluff, and he knew that, and that's why he liked being around here, and he appreciated being around our basketball team, and his one of his lasting memories for me and a reminder for me is just to appreciate how fortunate we are, and I really enjoyed working with him and getting to know him and having him as a friend.
Yeah, and Bill had the opportunity to talk with his wife, Lori, a couple hours ago, and she was obviously a very difficult time for her, but she was very appreciative and said, Bill was very happy. He loved working with the University of Portland. He loved working with Linfield. He loved the kids, and he really did feel like a part of both programs. And so, it was nice to hear. We'll have a nice recognition for Bill Johnson before the game on Saturday. Linfield will, as well, as they're playing in the quarterfinals of the Division III NCAA football championships down in McMinnville. We'll have a nice pregame recognition for Bill before we host Boise State on Saturday. And so we'll just close out this first segment by passing on our condolences to Bill's wife, Lori, his family. Come out, support him, give the tribute to him. It's good to see some fans here that were friends of Bill, and he will be remembered fondly by the Pilot family. We'll be back and talk some Pilot hoops after this short break on 910 ESPN Portland.
Some things you can't control, like going in for seconds a third time.
Good.
Or the fact that all 6 kinds of Meemaw's cookies are so delicious. Or the storm that blows in right before your long drive home. But you can be sure your tires have enough traction to get you where you're going, no matter what Mother Nature has in store. At Les Schwab, we have the tires you need, backed by our best tire value promise. That should settle your stomach, at least until you break into those leftovers.
Oh boy.
Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Some things you can't control, like that epic traffic in the mall parking lot. Or the fussy triplets waiting behind you at the only register. Or the wet rock-filled shortcut you take home that leads to this. A flat tire. But you're not worried. Your Les Schwab tires are backed by their best tire value promise. So you'll get free flat repairs, free pre-trip safety checks, equal value replacements, and more for the life of your tires. Even the triplets would appreciate that. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
Your Lucky Number Tuesday just got better. We're giving away over $1 million in Buy Mart gift cards. This holiday season, check the Lucky Number board on Tuesdays at the Buy Mart you signed up in to see if you're a winner. Starting November 24th, you'll have a chance to win either a $100 or $250 gift card every Tuesday in each store. If you're not already a member, a lifetime Buy Mart membership is only $5. Get ready for your holiday season with Lucky Number Tuesday at Buy Mart.
What if there were a place where you could become your best self? To become not just what you want to be, but who you want to be. At University of Portland, we inspire innovators, entrepreneurs, leaders, difference makers. People with the smarts to succeed and the heart to know what success really means. University of Portland. Rise.
You're listening to Portland Pilots basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here's your host, Jason Bro.
Back here at the Pilot House on campus at the University of Portland. This is our first show from the Pilot House. We'll do this every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. Have Coach Reveneau and other various guests here, so we're excited to host this in this wonderful new facility. And I know, Coach, you've had a chance to come here for the Grand Gala opening and come through it since then, and I know your players have utilized it a lot. We've seen a few of them in here already today. How big is this facility for this campus and also for your program, the basketball program?
Well, as we've talked about, it's fantastic. I think, the campus improvements in recent years from the Beauchamp Rec Center, even the Clark Library, the Commons, which is a few years old now, the renovation there was great. But this is just a great meeting place on campus. And It's a great place for recruiting, to see the vibe of the campus, players hanging out, people hanging out, enjoying it. It's been a huge success, and the food's great, and we really appreciate the opportunity to have it here. It's just a neat place. I think it's great. My wife's happy she's got a place to come before games, and meet someone up here in North Portland before a game on campus, and maybe meet up afterwards after a game. And so it's a neat place for events or for just getting together.
Yeah, and a reminder that there will be watch parties for all road games here in the Pilot House. For televised games, they've got 5 90-inch television screens throughout the facility. We've got a drop-down screen for video stream games as well. And a reminder to our listeners can call in with questions and comments for Coach Reveneau at 503-542-0910, or send us questions via Twitter using hashtag AskCoachReveneau. If anybody in the facility here has a question, just come on up to the table. Jose over here will get you in. We'll get you on the air with questions for Coach Rev. Coach Rev, let's look back. Last week, it was a busy week. We kind of finished that 5 games and 8 days stretch, and it started last Sunday. I know we hit on that last week with a 30-point win over Abilene Christian. Tuesday, seems like a long time ago, but Tuesday at the Childs Center, another 30-point win over Alcorn State. 58 points in the first half. Everybody got involved, and it's just kind of what you want to see on your home court. A fun game. You score almost 100 points. Everyone gets involved, and you cruise to an easy win.
Yeah, the best thing about those 2 games was playing in front of the student section and in front of the crowd. I love the students coming out. Really appreciate that. And the guys, what I appreciate from the players so much is how hard they played. They just, regardless what the score was, they were trying to get better, play hard. Different guys, different rotations, a lot of different lineups and things going on, but the guys really just played hard. And I told them on Sunday, against Abilene Christian, they allowed themselves to be coached and still work hard. When you're up by 25, sometimes that's not always easy. And then on Tuesday against Alcorn State, same thing. We're trying to. It's early in the year. We've got a lot of new guys running some new things. It was a good opportunity to try to work on some things, and so it was a good experience.
And then that was the hosted portion. So Southern Illinois, Colorado State, UTEP, and Portland all hosted 2 games as part of the Corpus Christi Coastal Challenge. Then for Thanksgiving, we head down to Corpus Christi. Beautiful arena to play in down there. Faced Colorado State the first day, and that was just a long week of travel, just going down, longer travel to Texas than you maybe think if you haven't done it before. Arriving in, had Thanksgiving Thursday night, had a nice afternoon Thanksgiving meal as a team, go to practice at night. Colorado State was a good team on Friday, weren't they? They
were very good, and you mentioned the travel, and it was good. We didn't practice really much Wednesday morning before we left, just enough to shake off the cobweb or prevent any cobwebs from setting in, because we weren't practicing until late Thursday night. Our practice time was the last one on Thursday night of Thanksgiving, so it was tough to manage around that. Father Jerry Ollinger was fantastic. He came along, and he's, as our team chaplain, he held a mass and had a nice Thanksgiving dinner like you mentioned. It was just a nice day, and then everyone sort of went back to their room in their own food comas and took a nap and watched some football, and then we went to practice, had a good practice. Colorado State, when we got to the main feast of the weekend, they were very tough. They're a very good basketball team, very physical, changed things up, and we had our moments, but it was a challenging game to get our bearings, and at the end of the day, we were just a little bit outmatched. But I think we got better and played well at times, and it was a good experience for us.
Yeah, Colorado State coach. I mean, I thought it was just impressive the coaching that was done down there. You had Larry Eustachy, former Iowa State head coach. You got Barry Hinson at Southern Illinois. Tim Floyd, who you knew from your Pac-12 days, who was at Southern California. But Larry Eustachy's done a really nice job with that Colorado State team. They've made a couple NCAA tournaments in his brief tenure there, and I thought it was kind of interesting where they like to play in some ways similar to how you do, like get it out and go, take the open three-pointers when they're there. And I thought really the first half difference was the shots just weren't falling for the Pilots.
No, exactly. We've had that a couple times, and we've got to find a way when the shots aren't falling to find a way to get the shots that will fall. Maybe it's a little higher percentage shot inside. Maybe it's one of our posts, 4 or 5 posting up, or whether it's a different action. And but we were getting good looks, and we we've seen it. Everyone who follows us has seen us make a ton of shots, and then we miss some, and we're still shooting a really good percentage overall. But those stretches where we either got to execute a little better offense to go from a good shot to a great shot, or and the other thing we have to do is not we have to get better defensively where we can weather some storms. So instead of going down 12-14 in a bad offensive stretch, you're going down 6-8, and you're keeping it close and grinding it out a little bit and trying to sort out the offensive situation to suck it up and get some stops.
Yeah, and it seemed like the first half you guys were managing that fine line because the shots weren't going, but you were able to stay within 6 or 8. It didn't get away from you. Rebounding was good. The defense seemed to be doing enough to keep you in the game. And then the second half started, and if I recall correctly, I think 10 straight missed three-pointers in the second half, and that's where it really blossomed. Is it, from a team perspective, did the lack of offense maybe kind of start affecting other areas, and how do you address that?
No, I don't think so. Our defense isn't great when our offense is going. So
fair point.
So I mean, but we're good defensively. I'm not saying we're bad. We're not. We don't. It's not like they go hand in hand sometimes. And I've seen that. I think maybe I think good shots and making shots can be contagious. Maybe missing some shots becomes contagious. I think they're coming out in transition, like you were saying, liking to run off our long misses, driving the basket, things like that are kind of affecting us. And then you look at those shots, look at them live, look at them on film, and you're like, well, that's a shot that he's been making. He's shooting 45%. That's a good shot, but on that given stretch, it didn't work. And so a lot of it, falls on me to sort of orchestrate things and get the shot to where it's maybe even a little higher percentage, a little more sure thing. And fortunately for that game, we had an opportunity the next night to come back and try to improve.
Reminder for listeners can call in with questions for Coach Reveno about the program, 503-542-0910, or use hashtag AskCoachRev via Twitter. And you mentioned kind of, one of the things that was interesting, and I know Travis, who was on the radio call with, we were talking about, is the fact that early in the year you were able to play 12, 13 guys almost every single game, whether it be up by 30 or, struggling early on at UC Davis trying to find a rotation. Do you anticipate that to be something that continues, or as you get closer towards the second season of West Coast Conference play, where maybe some more roles are defined in terms of minutes?
I really like our bench. I really like our depth, and I think that gives us a cushion and takes pressure off guys to have to perform for us to have a chance to win. I felt like, in this on Saturday in particular, the second game, guys were performing well, and they're the second half of the 5 games in 8 days, they were still holding up pretty well, and particularly Alec and Bryce and whatnot. And when they're playing well and shooting the ball like that and defending like Alec was, and they're going to get a lot of the minutes, and that's going to limit that. And then the post play and everything, the same thing. So I'd like to be a team that we can develop some really good depth, and so I'm not fixed on a set number of rotation. I think I'm going to be comfortable, playing a fair amount of guys, especially the way we're trying to play so hard and get out and run. We're going to have to do that. So yeah, no, but it's a good observation. I think it's just still so early. I feel like this year in particular, 6 games in isn't that far in. It's 25% of the season maybe, but it's with compared to last year when we were, a lot of the veterans back, similar offense. This year doing new stuff, new guys. We're still kind of figuring things out a little bit.
All right, we'll take another break. We'll talk about the Southern Illinois game on Saturday and what we have coming up this week. You're listening to The Coaches Show, Portland Pilots basketball here on 910 ESPN Portland.
Stay ahead of the flu, a cold, or anything else going around this season and get vaccinated at Bi-Mart. Our pharmacy is your one-stop shop for everything you need to keep your family healthy, including flu shots. The best way to prevent the flu is to get vaccinated early. We have 2 types of flu vaccines currently available. Just check with the pharmacist at your neighborhood Bi-Mart for days and times. Call or stop by today. Get ready for your flu season at Bi-Mart.
You've heard me talking about the incredible offers going on at Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville. Let me introduce you to one of their customers and have them share their experience.
I kept hearing that I could lease a pre-owned 2015 C-Class for $0 down and $299 a month. I had to find out for myself, so I went to Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville, and I had such a great experience, and because it was such an amazing deal, I bought one, and I love it.
Right now at Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville, you can lease a pre-owned 2015 C-Class for $0 down and $299 a month for 36 months.
My name is Lori, and I am now a loyal customer of Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville and the new owner of a beautiful 2015 C-Class.
Go experience their hospitality and see why since their local ownership, Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville has sold more new Mercedes-Benz vehicles than any other dealership in Oregon.
Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville. It's time to drive the car that you've always really dreamed of.
CAD cost $34,435. Total monthly payments equal $10,764. Restrictions apply for well-qualified buyers. Please see dealer or call 855-862-2999 for complete details.
The legendary 40-year basketball tradition returns to Portland this December, and you don't want to miss it. Join the University of Portland Pilots and Oregon State Beavers as they celebrate the return of the Far West Classic on December 18th and 19th at the Moda Center. Make the Pilots and the Far West Classic part of your holiday plans. It's fun for the whole family. Get your Far West Classic tickets today by calling the Pilot box office at 503-943-7525 or visit portlandpilots.com.
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here again is Jason Bro.
Fans, remember there's a special 4-pack mini package that includes games against Gonzaga, BYU, St. Mary's, and this Saturday's game against Boise State, available for just $75. Single game tickets start at $10 right now, available through all Ticketmaster outlets or by calling the Pilot box office at 503-943-7525. Again, visit portlandpilots.com or call 503-943-7525. for ticket information. Coach, the last game of the Corpus Christi Challenge was probably one of the best games of the tournament. The double overtime game right before us pushed our broadcast back about a half an hour between UTEP and Colorado State. But Southern Illinois on Saturday, another very good team, 6-1 record, a narrow loss to UTEP the day before. And going into that game, what was kind of the game plan and what did you expect and how did it play out?
Well, we knew they had the very good player Bean that was a dynamic guard, big guard, shooting guard that was very capable and had seen UTEP the night before use box and one, triangle and two, different defenses on them. It was kind of fun to watch that play out. They had some good shooters. They're actually missing one of the good big guy. And so they were a little different inside, but their posts were skilled, and they're just a really good basketball team and well coached. And so, as you mentioned, and so the game plan was to change up some defense on them a little bit. We were in terms of some screens, we were trapping their best player every time he got it, and we put Alec on him because of Alec's quickness. We noticed that he was bothered more by that than size. He was more of a shooter, and so Alec did a phenomenal job. We put Bryce on a player that he could actually help off of a lot, and Bryce was a helper. And we had some really interesting matchups and strategy going on defensively, and it was a great experience for us. You start talking about WCC tournament time later in the year, and you have to do that one-day prep and everything. The guys did a great job at walkthrough and on the pregame video, getting a feel for their players, and they executed the game plan really well. And so we were able to defensively get out and get after them. And then offensively, tried to learn a little bit from the day before and tried to control our offense a little bit more, but still get out in transition. Our best percentages are coming in transition, whether it's layups at the rim or three-pointers. Best shots still come in transition, but we need to generate some good offense. So we ran we ran a play, got Alec a layup, got some different stuff going offensively where we were able to score against a good defensive team, and it was a good game. It was a good basketball game, and unfortunately, we came up short at the end.
Yeah, it came right down to the wire. If you didn't listen or see the result, 80-79, Southern Illinois banks in a three-pointer with about a minute and a half to go to take a three-point lead. Alec Wintering, nice dump off for Gabe Taylor to cut it to one. Portland had two possessions, and then in the last 5 seconds, two pretty good looks with Bryce Presley, a 10-footer, and Jerome Marshall, kind of a rush 10-footer. But what was the theory down the stretch in that last minute?
We had a possession. needed a stop, didn't foul, of course, get a stop with 17 seconds difference on the shot and game clock. Shot clock expired for them. We had a dead ball coming out. And I didn't want to call timeout because they were going to sub for their defensive guys and get their defense set. I basically trusted our guys to execute. We had gone small at that point with Gabe and Jarrell in at the same time. And we ran a play that basically gets Bryce an opportunity to create with Al available to pass to, coming off an on-ball. It's a dribble handoff to an on-ball with Jarrell, who's good late game in those situations as well. So we ran that, and Bryce took a shot that was, just inside the free throw line, contested shot, well contested. Jarrell gets a good look, good rebound, and a good look there, and the follow didn't drop. So, the alternative would have been to call timeout. This year's rule, the players know that they were supposed to call timeout. They can call timeout when I tell them to, and they could have called timeout. We had the play we would have run from the sideline, similar type action. And I felt like, looking back on it, I felt like our execution was okay, good. But you kind of need to you want to be perfect. And hindsight's 20/20. If you call a timeout, draw it up, remind them, maybe you get it perfect. And so we worked on some of that stuff today. But we got two good shots, and so it was. It's something that you look at all the possessions before, and you mentioned the defense and some bank shots and some things. We had our chances, we just weren't able to capitalize.
And then, unfortunately, the last shot goes up, and Jarrell had a good look at it. He kind of rushed it. The ball gets stuck in between the rim and the backboard, and I haven't found anybody that's seen a game end like that throughout their career. I don't know if you have.
No, I told the coaches, I shook their hand. I said, if that ain't insult to injury, I don't know what is. To have the ball get wedged up there, it's like, come on, you kidding me? Like it doesn't even mercifully fall to the ground.
No.
It just gets stuck there for all to see.
Yeah, that was an interesting finish, and that brings us to our first question from Stewart on campus. Had a question about Jarrell Marshall specifically. Said, should we expect a breakout performance anytime soon? It seems like he's got a ton of talent, and he's kind of finding his way.
Yeah, no, his ankle injury really set him back a little bit. I think he's, I asked him over the weekend how is it, and he said it's good, but I wasn't even asking 5 days ago. It was, and I think it was Sunday morning. He told me he woke up and he wasn't limping. Out of bed. He, until then his ankle was an issue and everything, and just settling down and everything. He's a very capable four-man, and I think with him and Gabe Taylor, they're both capable of having big games, and Jarrell can shoot it. What I like about Jarrell's game right now is his passing. He creates for others really well. He also, we need them to score a little bit more inside, which is not as much their fault as just us being on the same page. And they got to get to the glass a little bit, but it's also us being a little more conscious of trying to get them opportunities around the basket. But yeah, he's going to have whether you call it a breakout game or a big game where someone makes a decision that, hey, we can't let Bryce or Alec or one of these guys, and all of a sudden they're going to leave him too open, and he'll take advantage. He makes great decisions. Also, he's very patient. He'll get to the paint. He'll pump fake. So good things happen when the ball's in his hands.
Well, and I know you mentioned a big area that you'd like to see improvement from earlier in the year is getting to the free throw line. And Jarrell, when you look at his stat line on Saturday against Southern Illinois, only takes 8 field goal attempts, but scores 15 points, 6 of 7 at the line. And he's one of those guys that you really think can live at the free throw line if he's aggressive. Yeah,
no, I've said before, that's one of the things we improved on last week over the course of the week of getting to the line. And I think it's safe to say we could use to improve our percentage from the free throw line, but and we're a better shooting team than we're shooting it from the line now. We will improve at that. We got to continue to improve at getting to the line. But Jarrell's one of those guys that can do it as well as some others, but that's a needed skill for sure.
Yeah, and the free throws, that one's an interesting one because you kind of look at it, and we've talked with some other coaches. The team collectively shooting 58% and 15 for 25 in that game against Southern Illinois, getting to the line more but not really getting an advantage there. Does it become a little more mental than kind of mechanical at a certain point? Or because I know as we talk and I watch practice, good free throw shooters that just aren't making them as much as you would historically think that they have in the past.
Right. And most of them, they're spread out pretty well. I mean, maybe there's a stats professor here that can help me out with what size of sample size I need to make this. I think N has to equal 20 for it to be significant. I got a guy shooting 12 free throws, and he's only made 7. Is that is that a significant number? I'm not sure. It's troublesome though, and it does raise a flag. And you're exactly right on the mental component. And what you don't want to do as a coach is, like rebounding. I prematurely freaked out about our poor rebounding just because I don't think that's going to hurt them. Whereas the free throw thing, to be honest, you're gonna be late to make a deal out of it. You don't want to be early. You don't want to be ahead of that trend and make a deal out of something when it's free throw shooting when it's not. Rebounding, defense, you can tend to get excited about early, and it's not going to affect the guy's confidence rebounding or defending.
Reminder, you can give us a call at 503-542-0910 or use hashtag AskCoachRev on Twitter for some questions. We'll get to them. We'll take another break. We'll be back with more from Coach Reveno here at the Pilot House on campus. You're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
Mom, Dad, we need to talk. I know college will be expensive, but the Oregon College Savings Plan can help. Did you know you could save on your taxes while you save for my college? Any earnings and qualified withdrawals are tax-free.
You can even get a state tax deduction.
Sweet!
Are you saving for college? It helps if you have a plan. With the Oregon College Savings Plan, you can get an Oregon state income tax deduction of over $4,500 for 2015. Plus, when you use the money for qualified college expenses, any earnings are both state and federal tax-free. So for more information, go to OregonCollegeSavings.com.
Now, about my allowance.
The plan is administered by the state of Oregon. Consider the investment objectives, risks, and expenses before investing in the plan. Go to OregonCollegeSavings.com for a disclosure booklet and read it carefully. Investments in the plan are not guaranteed, and there is the risk of investment loss. Non-qualified withdrawals may be subject to taxes and penalties. State tax advantages subject to recapture provisions. Consult your tax advisor.
Providence Wellness Watch from Providence Heart and Vascular Institute on PlaySmart heart screenings for young people.
Most kids' hearts are healthy, thank goodness, but a small number of kids will have hidden heart defects that you wouldn't know about unless you did testing. PlaySmart is a free screening program for kids ages 12 through 18. We perform a blood pressure measurement, an electrocardiogram. It takes less than 10 minutes, painless, non-invasive, and it gives cardiologists a lot of information so that we can assess risk. Hidden heart defects are not common, but we want to know about them. All kids can be at risk, and therefore we want to give all kids the opportunity to have a free screening. We want our kids to stay active throughout the school year and throughout the summer, so now's a great time to get screened and to learn more about your heart.
To learn more about Providence Heart and Vascular Institute's PlaySmart screenings for kids ages 12 to 18, visit PlaySmartGetScreened.org.
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveno on 910 ESPN Portland. Here's your host, Jason Bro.
We are on site at the Pilot House at the University of Portland campus. Beautiful new facility with pub and food attached to it, renovated and opened just more than a month ago, and a very vibrant part of campus, one of the many additions to campus, and excited to be here. And we'll go to the phone lines for the first time today, and we have Pedro from Santa Barbara. Pedro, what do you got for us?
Hey, bro, Coach Rev. Good evening, you guys.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. You know, I'm this phone. If I get a bad connection, I'll call back. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we got you.
Okay. You know, I'm so sorry about the bad news, and yet I'm so glad that I knew Mr. Bill Johnson. As we did, one of the great sports voices of our time, and I just want you guys to dedicate this season to him. I really hope that you have that spectacular run and him doing the play-by-play from up there.
Well, thank you very much. I know we would talk between your calls, and he, and mentioned he really, the faithful listeners and the faithful callers, he really appreciated that, and he the Dodger fan in him really appreciated your calls, and he'd always mention that you guys got to stick together.
Oh, that was it. One of the great conversations I had with him in Las Vegas last year was he was telling me as a young man, he called every pitch of Sandy Koufax's perfect game against the Cubs many years ago, and at that point he knew he was going into broadcasting, and I remember him telling me recently in an email what great hopes he had for your season this year. And, I know you went 2-2 in the tournament, and I know he's happy about that. And how you feeling about everything, Coach Rev, with the team and where you're at right now?
I feel very good. I feel like the team has great chemistry, plays hard, focused on the right things, sharing the ball. Saturday's game, I think we had 17 assists. And the funny thing about the 17 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken on the numbers, the funny thing was I don't think I remember a game where we've had so many illegal screens. And that's not good, but the intent of a screen is to help your teammate and get him open. So it's like a guy making an extra pass or doing something. It's not a selfish sort of over dribble. It's a good basketball intent, and I think that's something to build upon. And so I'm really excited about where our minds are at. We had a great practice this morning. Hadn't heard the news about Bill, and we just had a good high energy practice, and it threw us for a loop after the workout. But it was a good practice, and guys are working hard, and so it's really exciting that everyone's embracing getting better. We had a long trip back, but the guys are enjoying being around each other, so we're in a really good place. But don't mistake it. We've got to get better. We have a lot of things to improve upon. That's the pessimistic or the concerning side of me has a list of things that we need to work on, from free throw shooting to defense to point of attack and all these things. But when you've got players that are willing to really bust their tail and get after it and enjoy being around each other, then it's a good thing.
That Saturday night game was great. With Jason's play-by-play, that was a great game to hear, and wish I would have been there. But you had some good streaks and some not so good streaks, but you played all the way to the end against a very, very good Southern Illinois team. I hate to tell you this, but they're a really good team. And,
every team coming into the tournament, it's a great level tournament. Every team coming in was undefeated prior to the weekend, and so we knew we had our work cut out for us. And I've heard a few people say that Jason does an all right job on the radio, and so.
I'm hooked. He's right there. He takes me right there, and it's great. It's such a throwback, to broadcasters like Bill and now Jason. To have us right there. You hear the crowd. You can feel it. When the Pilots were making some runs, you could really feel it. It
was a neat arena too. Jason mentioned it was a hockey arena, but it's a nice sized venue, and there weren't. I think the listed attendance was 187, and if Jason
I counted 185.
Yeah, Jason. I think they counted Jason. So, from a basketball opportunity, those are just fantastic because it's a neutral court. I mean, to play Colorado State on a neutral floor like that's just to play Southern Illinois is just a great opportunity. So, we're very thankful for that, and the opportunity to get better. The guys were pretty disappointed both games, for different reasons. One, they felt like we didn't compete as well as we could have on the first night. Second night, we felt like we competed well, played well, and just didn't make the plays to win when we needed to. And both are challenging, but if you're resilient and tough, show some grit, you learn and move on.
That's okay. They're going to get after it. They want it. So I'm going to bid adieu to you guys. So have a good evening, and it's great talking to you both as usual. So good night.
All right, thanks, Pedro, and I'll put the check in the mail. Appreciate the kind words.
Great, thank you.
Just give it to James. I'll see you guys.
Absolutely. All right, thanks, Pedro. One of the interesting things that he brought up, and we kind of made joke about it, is 180 some fans there. But how difficult is it to prepare when you're going into a neutral site and there's not really a home team around there? UTEP, I guess you could say, was in the area, but I think it was a 4.5-hour drive. So those are always the most intriguing. We've been in some big time tournaments with big time teams as we look back to Anaheim, and it kind of a similar feeling where it's not really that college environment that you expect, whether it be home or on the road. What's the mental preparation that you take your team through for that?
I think they're a lot of fun. I think it's a very sanitary sort of basketball environment. It's sort of like working in a lab. There's no distractions, no excuses, no advantage, disadvantage, crowd, home crowd, routine, no routine. You talk about that double overtime. We're in a hockey locker room sitting there hanging out, stretched and ready to go, waiting through a double overtime. Well, Southern Illinois is having to do the same thing. There's no excuses. Not like they're at home and they got their fancy locker room and whatnot. They're doing the same thing we were doing. So it's a very neutral environment. And then you take the end of the game, the end of game situation, I had all the options available to me in the world because it was so quiet in there. Normally with 47 seconds. So we talked about that, and in a situation where maybe we would have wanted to call timeout, how would we have done that in an environment where the players have to call it, and just but it was so quiet. The problem with it was the guys scouting our game the first night were sitting right behind us. They hear every call, and so it's funny, but we enjoy it.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, these non-conference tournaments over the holiday weekends are a lot of fun. We did a nice video feature about in 2010 the TJ Campbell, Luke Sigma, that group that got ranked for the first time in
Kramer
50 years.
Knutson.
Kramer Knutson, who's on staff
Yeah,
now.
don't get me in trouble.
That's that was a really fun tournament, and we're actually going back to the reincarnated version of that tournament. It was announced over the weekend, the DirecTV Wooden Legacy, and we'll just, for fans that haven't heard, here's the tournament field for next Thanksgiving that the Pilots are going to be a part of. UCLA, Cal State Northridge, Dayton, Nebraska, New Mexico, Texas A&M, and Virginia Tech. There's some pretty big-name basketball schools in that field.
It's a great tournament. The Corpus Christi event was run really well. It's a nice event. They take care of you. This one in Anaheim, a little closer to get to, a little warmer weather. Although Corpus Christi was nice, but it's a good tournament. It's hosted right there, and what they do is they basically made the events for TV, and so they give you a nice big banquet at Disneyland on Wednesday night, and they give you a Thanksgiving meal, but they don't bore you and drown you in speeches. They let the guys go to the park and ride rides and get out for a little bit. Thursday you play games, and what I love about it as a 3-game event is you play games Thursday, Thanksgiving, you play games Friday, and then Saturday, ESPN doesn't need the content, so they give you the day off, and you come back Sunday. So the 3 days in a row is a little much. The 2 days in a row is pretty good, and you still have quality basketball, and you're still, the third game in 3 games is a little bit of a crapshoot. I really prefer the format of what they have in the Wooden Class Legacy now.
Well, and it gives an opportunity for schools like Portland to play those big teams on some neutral courts, and you see a lot. I mean, we saw Santa Clara, who was winless, take number 11 Arizona into overtime, and Santa Clara had a couple free throws to win it. So those are always really exciting. And over the next few years, there's a lot of really exciting tournaments that the Pilots are going to be a part of, including the Nike tournament here in Portland in a couple years. That is probably going to be as good of a field as ever been put together, inarguably, which will be a lot of fun. So we'll take another break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the upcoming games this week, look ahead to Portland State, Boise State, and take a look around the West Coast Conference. You're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
B-Dubs presents B-Dubbing.
This is it, folks. Everyone's on the edge of their
stools for Appy Hour at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Here's the snap. He drops back.
For great deals.
And throws.
A domestic draft.
Smith snags.
$4 shareables like street tacos and Southwest loaded chips.
What a throw. What a catch. What a...
Appy Hour. Experience Appy Hour at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Participation and offers vary. See a participating location for details. Void where prohibited.
Honey, why does the doorbell ring when I turn on the kitchen lights?
I rewired that. It should work now.
No, it doesn't.
Don't rely on short-term fixes that need long-term solutions. A U.S. Bank home equity line of credit may help turn the equity in your home into lasting improvements. Visit a U.S. Bank branch, usbank.com/dreambig, or call 800-209-BANK.
Home sweet normal home.
Some restrictions may apply, subject to credit approval. Mortgage and home equity products offered through U.S. Bank, National Association, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC. U.S. Bank provides custom solutions to help you grow your business. Whether you've just started in a friend's apartment.
What do you mean there's no printer?
Or opened your first office.
We have a printer.
Or maybe you've opened a new location.
We have so many printers.
You'll have a business banker there to guide you every step of the way. Visit your local U.S. Bank branch or usbank.com/business. Credit products are subject to normal credit approval and program guidelines. Some restrictions and fees may apply. See your banker for details. Deposit products offered by U.S. Bank, National Association, member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The legendary 40-year basketball tradition returns to Portland this December, and you don't want to miss it. Join the University of Portland Pilots and Oregon State Beavers as they celebrate the return of the Far West Classic on December 18th and 19th at the Moda Center. Make the Pilots and the Far West Classic part of your holiday plans. It's fun for the whole family. Get your Far West Classic tickets today by calling the Pilot box office at 503-943-7525 or visit portlandpilots.com.
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here again is Jason Bro.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show. Portland going to face crosstown rival Portland State on Wednesday, 7 o'clock tip, 6:30 on air here on 910, and then hosting Boise State Saturday at 7 p.m., expecting a nice crowd for that against a team coming off an NCAA tournament appearance. And we'll go to the phone lines again. We have Larry from Hood River. Larry, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Jason. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, what you got for us, Larry?
I just, just found out today, like probably most of us, about Mr. Johnson's passing, and I just really just didn't want to call, but just say, this is the time to appreciate, I guess, Pilot Nation and all the good people around the university. And Bill is such a class guy, he and Lori, and I can't tell you how much I enjoyed listening to his broadcasts, and more than anything, just I'm sure echo a lot of things you guys have already said, but. Just, I guess it puts everything in perspective.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. He'd appreciate it. He was very appreciative. And those kind words that people said or stopped them, and he enjoyed being the voice of the Pilots and spreading the word. And he loved you guys, your calls and your support, and you're faithful. It always gave him a big smile. And, on that rare Monday when you wouldn't call in, I thought he probably got home and checked on you.
I'm sure he probably texted you guys.
It's tragic news and sad, and like you say, it's kind of all been said. But our thoughts and prayers with Lori and his family, and it's just tough. But I do know that as he's he would appreciate your words, because he really appreciated your support.
I'll tell you I think probably one of the greatest Bill Johnson stories I have, which he's got a million of them, but we were on a road trip to the Bay Area, and it was a game against St. Mary's, and I think we stayed up to probably 3 o'clock telling stories about basketball, and I told him, I said, I have to go to bed or I'm going to pass out in this table, and I think he could have told stories all night long. He put me to shame.
He absolutely was endless with storytelling, and that's one of the things. I was talking with some of your compadres here before the game, and those older radio broadcasters have been through it. They've seen so much, and every time we go down to LMU telling the story, and Colin Pfaff, our assistant coach, came in, and it's just like, it just reminds me of the story. I just watched The Guru of Go on ESPN 30 for 30, and Bill tells the story so vividly of Hank Gathers, playing Portland in the WCC tournament and passing away right there on the court, and just stories like that he can just share from a broadcasting perspective, but also, as you mentioned, just from a people's perspective. He'd give the time if you were interested, and he was as good of a storyteller as there was. So, it's tough for everybody, but, I think Bill has touched so many people. We've already received a flood of emails from people that he mentored as students to people that he worked with professionally, and it really shows the impact he had in this community.
Yeah, no, I think I think it's great what you guys do, and I told those guys that now I'm gonna have lots of stories to tell him. I'll catch him up on the next 20 years. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, thank you guys. Good luck this week. Some great games. So.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you Wednesday, Larry. Thank you. So, Coach, shift into basketball, and one of the things that's really interesting is when you look at the stats, and under your tenure, everyone's saying big man coach, when you came from Stanford. But for a 3-year stretch, the Pilots were the best three-point shooting team in the country when you had Jared Stoll, T.J. Campbell, and everybody. And then all of a sudden now, again, leading the nation in three-pointers, third in the country in makes, top 10 in attempts. Why has that been something that's been a consistent theme throughout your career?
Which part?
The three-point shooting.
Well, it's been, I feel like there's very few programs in the country that can recruit to the style they want to play. And, Syracuse you think of, but even even Duke, I remember, someone saying on the recruiting trail, well, he's not a Duke big guy. Well, no, he's a lottery pick. They'll make him a Duke big guy.
Yeah.
It's just silly that certain type of players, we all like players that play hard or selfless, tough, and passionate. And that's what we go out looking for, recruit our core values of selfless, tough, and passionate. And then we adjust to what they do well, And so right now, Bryce, and Alec and DeMarcus and all the guys shoot it so well, and we shoot the ball. Post-wise, we have versatile fours. I think one of the under-recognized things about the way we're playing now is the versatility of our four-man, the ability of our fours. And you talked to the student on campus was asking about Jarrell and his versatility. Well, the versatility of the four-man gives us a lot of options offensively, opposed to playing almost two posts. Where you want to play your top guys, your best basketball players, and then you're going to adjust your styles. So, I like a 3-2. I like a dunk. I like a block shot. I like the same thing everyone else does. I guess the trick is figuring out the best way to get the most of them. And right now, this team can really shoot it, and we shoot it best in transition. So we just keep getting better at defense and rebounding, and we can get out and run a lot, which is fun because people enjoy it. It's a fun style to watch. So you mentioned those games we had last week where we can 58 points in a half is a pretty good half, and and guys did a nice job of keeping it going. So it's exciting. And then they enjoy it. They play. It's hard. The thing about running, I'd say, one thing about running is everyone thinks it takes athleticism. It does, but it also takes skill and toughness. We're not turning the ball over more than we were. We're knock on wood. We're doing fine taking care of the ball because we're skilled, and then the toughness to really get to run when you're a little bit tired to really sprint. We had a couple layups over the weekend that were really good. Gabe had one where they threw it ahead where he after a made basket, he just sprinted down the floor and got a layup. Jarrell had a dunk on after a made basket, just looking to make them pay right away. It takes some toughness to do that consistently.
Yeah, and you mentioned the three-pointers almost broke the school record of 16, hit 15 against Alcorn State, and it wouldn't surprise me if that number goes. That record is broken this year. We'll take one final break, and we'll bring on Scott Lakem, the University of Portland Athletic Director, after the break for a few comments. Again, you're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
Dusty here for Pacific Neurotherapy in Lake Oswego. I finished their advanced recovery program in August, and I'm still pain-free. A shoulder that held me down for 9 years. After 10 days, I was pain-free. After 20 days, the guys at PNT had the muscles that were dormant for almost a decade stronger, allowing me to do the things that I want to do now. The program's really simple, too. They find the problem, stimulate the muscles, increase your blood flow, and then retrain your brain to fire the muscles that are causing your pain. And you're usually in and out in under 30 minutes. Whether it's an ankle, knee, back, hamstring, or shoulder like me, they can likely pinpoint the problem, get you back to doing the things that you want to do. Get rid of the pain, stop hoping it'll get better on its own. Check out Pacific Neurotherapy. Go to painfreein10days.com for a free demo. painfreein10days.com or call them 503-941-0232. Pacific Neurotherapy, right off I-5 and 217 in Lake Oswego.
What if there were a place where you could become your best self? To become not just what you want to be, but who you want to be. At University of Portland, we inspire innovators, entrepreneurs, leaders, difference makers, people with the smarts to succeed and the heart to know what success really means. University of Portland. Rise.
This is Monster Jam, where every athlete is in it to win it. Presented by your local Ford store, coming to Moda Center, February 13th and 14th. Buy your tickets now at monsterjam.com.
Great rack! Get your car rack at Re-Rack. Right now through November 30th, enjoy 20% off brand new Yakima products with free basic installation and local people to make sure your rack is right. In the Big Green Building on Northeast 22nd and Sandy. Re-Rack.
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here's your host, Jason Bro.
Welcome back. We're here at the Pilot House on the University of Portland campus. Big week of Pilot basketball coming up at Portland State on Wednesday. home versus Boise State on Saturday, and we're joined now by University of Portland Athletic Director Scott Lakem. And Scott, obviously not the news we were expecting this morning. Tough day for the UP Athletics family.
It really has been. I want to commend the two of you for going on with the show today, and really a fitting tribute to Bill. I know the three of us had some discussions this morning about whether or not going on with the show was appropriate, but knowing how much this show meant to Bill and how much Pilot basketball and as Coach Reveno stated, our student athletes meant to Bill, this tribute probably means or would mean more to him than anything else.
Yeah, and you mentioned, we talked about it this morning, but it kind of puts it in perspective, and it was amazing to me around the offices how many people came in and just said, man, he was such a good guy, how many people he took to lunch, and we all did it. I guess we didn't all realize everybody else was doing it. He must have taken more people to lunch in the last year than anybody can imagine, and I know you've had a chance to do that, and we've talked about it as well, and that's just kind of the person he is.
He was incredibly generous, and Bill was very secure in his faith and who he was. I mean, what meant the world to Bill was God, his family, Portland Pilot basketball, and Linfield football, and he would do anything for those four things. And I had dinner with Bill. I guess you can add me to the list, Jason. Bill and I had dinner a week and a half ago, and sat down for a couple hours, and we're brainstorming on ways he could basically donate his time and be more involved with the athletic department and Pilot basketball. He was very passionate about getting myself and Coach Reveno and others out in the community. And I'll remember, days like this, you rewind in your mind sort of moments that you've spent with people. And I remember shaking his hand as he got into his car, and he said, "Scott, University of Portland Athletics has done everything for me over the years. I'd do anything for the Pilots." And Bill, and I hope you're listening, you truly have. And we'll miss you not just Wednesday night on the Park Blocks, but we'll be thinking and talking about you for a long time.
All right, Scott, thanks again for joining us. And as we mentioned, Bill, so many good memories. We're just going to try to do him justice on what we can, the makeshift for the broadcast on Wednesday and going forward, and we'll keep everyone abreast. So, Scott, thanks for joining us. Have a good rest of the night, and I'm looking forward to hearing you with Crawford tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Scott.
Looking ahead to this week, Coach, and Wednesday should be a fun game. I mean, it's always a fun game, rivalry against Portland State, and they're a team that likes to push the pace, can shoot it, has some high D1 transfers coming into their rosters. So that's going to be a tough one over at the Stott Center, isn't it?
It really is. It's funny because it's cliche. Rivalry. You throw out the records, you throw out the stats. Anything can happen, but it tends to be that way. I've gotten to know Coach Geving better and better each year, and I think we both appreciate each other and our programs, and they're very well coached, talented players. They're really defending right now. They're defending. Their numbers are off the chart. Top 10 defensively, both field goal percentage and three-point defense, and top 75 in offensive rebound. They shoot a real high percentage. Their leading scorer, Forte, is averaging 20, I think, and shooting 60%, and they're just playing really efficient, tough basketball. And Coach Jackson has flying back from our long trip back yesterday. He was watching a bunch of film. I was still wrapping up, figuring out ourselves a little bit in Southern Illinois and how to get better. But he has done a great job of scouting and preparing, and they're just really efficient. And we've got to be able to defend and take away their high percentage stuff and get out and be able to get the shots that are good for us. They're really good defending the three, and we got to find a way to shoot the three a little bit. So it's interesting.
And then Saturday, Boise State. I don't know if people realize how good Boise State is coming off an NCAA tournament. Leon Rice, very familiar with the WCC, long-time Gonzaga assistant as a head coach there. One of the best shooting guards, if not on the West Coast of the nation, and Anthony Drimmick. They're a pretty versatile squad, aren't they, that's coming into the Child Center on Saturday?
Very versatile. They're coming in, and it's if we try to outscore them, it'll be a fun game. Let's just put it that way, because they get up and down, fast-paced.
post-game autograph zone. It'll be youth team night. Visit portlandpilots.com/promotions for all the details there. All the students who've been showing up to the games, almost 800 the opening game, they're going to get some uniforms handed out by the players on Thursday to get to sport on Saturday, so it should be a lot of fun. For Jesse Osmond in the studio, Coach Reveno, I know on behalf of everybody, one last shout-out to Bill Johnson. He will be missed, and we'll try to honor him as we go throughout the season. That's it for the Portland Pilots Coaches Show tonight. Again, at Portland State, Wednesday, 6:30 on air right here on 910 ESPN. Jason Breaux signing off. Thanks for tuning in to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show.
Thank you very much.
This has been Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveno. Tonight's show was brought to you by Employee-Owned by Mart, by your local Les Schwab Tire Center, the Oregon College Savings Plan, by Buffalo Wild Wings, U.S. Bank, by Safeway, and by PlaySmart Health Screenings from Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. Join us for University of Portland basketball all season long on the home of the Pilots, 910 ESPN Portland. 10 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 ESPN Portland.